The ER called me. My girlfriend had been admitted after an intimate injury. When I arrived, a male nurse pulled me aside and said, "We found something." Interesting. I walked in and saw her panicking because the other guy was still in the room. I just smiled and said, "I'll let him take you home." It was a rainy Thursday afternoon in Seattle. I was at work, wrapping up some reports, when my phone buzzed. It was a call from Harborview Medical Center. "Mr. Anderson? This is Nurse Thompson from Harborview. Your girlfriend, Laura, has been admitted to the ER. She listed you as her emergency contact." My heart dropped. I asked what happened, but the nurse said it was best discussed in person. I grabbed my coat and rushed out, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Upon arrival, I was directed to a private waiting area. After a few minutes, a male nurse approached me. "Mr. Anderson, Laura is stable, but we found something interesting." During the examination, we discovered a foreign object that required removal. I was puzzled. "What kind of object?" He hesitated. "A small, battery-operated device. It was lodged internally and caused some injuries." My mind went blank. I thanked him and asked to see her. I entered the room to find Laura sitting up, looking pale and anxious. Beside her stood a man I didn't recognize. Laura's eyes widened when she saw me. "Jake, I can explain." I held up my hand. "No need. I see everything I need to." I turned to the man. "You must be the one who brought her in. Thank you for that. I'll let you take her home." I walked out, leaving them both in stunned silence. I went home, packed her belongings, and left them outside. I blocked her number and social media accounts. Friends told me she tried to reach out, but I had nothing more to say. It's been a few months now. I'm focusing on myself, healing, and moving forward. Sometimes, the truth reveals itself in unexpected ways. I'm grateful for the clarity, even if it came through pain. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, going over every moment I could remember with her. 3 years together. Holidays. Family dinners. That weekend trip to Cannon Beach. All of it just crashing down with one sentence from a nurse and one look at her face when she saw me walk into that ER room. She looked like a kid caught stealing. And him? The guy didn't even flinch. He looked right at me, didn't say a word. He just stood there in jeans and a hoodie, acting like I was the one interrupting something private. The next day, I called in sick. My manager didn't ask questions. I guess I sounded like crap. I sat in my kitchen, looking at the pile of boxes I'd packed with her stuff, her hairdryer, the book she never finished, that one stupid hoodie of mine she always wore. I thought I'd be sad packing it, but I felt numb, like someone had hit pause on everything. But then things got weird. I started getting texts from unknown numbers. At first, it was just stuff like, "You okay?" and "Heard what happened." I figured mutual friends. But then the tone changed. One message said, "You don't know the full story." Another said, "Ask her about Brian." I didn't know any Brian. I ignored them. I didn't want drama. I thought maybe she was trying to mess with my head, or maybe the guy from the ER was trying to get under my skin. Until one morning, I got a voicemail from a woman I didn't know. "Hi, Jake. You don't know me, but I'm Michelle. I think we need to talk. It's about Laura. She's not who you think she is." I didn't want to call back. But something about her voice, it wasn't angry or dramatic. She sounded tired, like she'd been through some of this already. I waited a few hours, then I called. Michelle answered right away. Turns out, she used to date the same guy I saw in the ER with Laura. His name was Brian. And he had a habit of getting involved with women who were already in relationships. According to her, Laura and Brian had been seeing each other for almost a year. But that wasn't even the worst part. "She's done this before," Michelle told me. "To another guy? Almost exactly the same thing. Long relationship, secret affair, caught in a hospital. That's how I found out too. But she's different with everyone. With you, she played it quiet and sweet, right?" I didn't know what to say. It was like someone turned the volume up on every moment I used to second guess. Her late-night study groups for her online classes, the random trips to her cousins, the sudden mood swings. But Michelle wasn't done. She has a habit of keeping trophies. I know it sounds crazy, but she keeps things. Stuff from both men. I found a box once. Photos, notes, even a pair of boxers that weren't Brian's. She keeps secrets like they're souvenirs. I hung up the phone and just sat there. My stomach was in knots. A few days later, curiosity got the better of me. I went through the stuff I'd boxed up again. And there it was. A small, zippered pouch at the bottom of a tote bag. Inside, a folded letter from me from back when we started dating. Next to it, a hotel receipt with Brian's name on it. And a printed photo of them together at a lake cabin I didn't recognize. Same weekend she told me she was helping her sister move. It felt like being punched in the gut all over again. I thought about calling her, screaming at her, letting it all out. But I didn't. I took the pouch, walked it to the dumpster behind my building, and threw it in. I figured it was time to burn the last bridge. But that wasn't the end. A week later, I got served. Laura was filing a police report. She claimed I had stolen some of her belongings and was withholding them. There was a list. Most of it was crap, stuff I knew she didn't even care about. But there was one item on the list that caught my eye, a hard drive. I didn't even know she had one here. I looked through the boxes again. Nothing. The officer who served me wasn't pushy, but he told me it'd be best to just cooperate. I didn't want to deal with courts or cops. But something about that drive made my skin crawl. That night, I called Michelle again, told her about the report and the hard drive. There was a long pause. She's looking for something, she said. If it's the same one I saw once, she's hiding more than just affairs. I felt a cold chill go down my back. That's when I remembered the one place I hadn't checked. The closet in the laundry room. The very back, where we used to keep random cords and chargers and junk. I went in there and pulled down a box labeled Old Tech. Inside was a hard drive. No label. Just a plain, black external drive. I didn't plug it in. Not yet. I just sat there holding it, wondering how deep this hole was going to go. Something told me I wasn't even close to the bottom. I didn't sleep again that night. The hard drive sat on my kitchen table like it was ticking. I thought about taking it to the police, just handing it over and walking away. But a bigger part of me needed to know what was on it. I had to know who I'd spent the last 3 years with. The next morning, I took the drive to work. I work in IT, so I figured if anything was messed up or encrypted, I could at least try to recover it without triggering anything. I plugged it into a clean system. Offline, no network access, no connection to anything else. There were 2 main folders. One labeled Photos, the other Clients. My stomach dropped at the word Clients. I opened the Photos folder first. It was worse than I imagined. Dozens of subfolders, each named with different men's names. I recognized some from social media, guys she had called just friends. Some were older. Some looked married. Some even had photos with kids in the background. I found a whole folder with Brian's name, tons of photos, screenshots of messages, and even voice recordings. Then I opened the folder with my name on it. There were pictures of me sleeping, pictures of us at restaurants, voice notes from arguments we had, a video of me in the shower. She had been documenting everything. I sat back in my chair and stared at the screen. What kind of person does this? It felt less like betrayal and more like a setup, like I'd been part of some weird experiment. Then I opened the Clients folder. It had spreadsheets, notes, and what looked like appointment logs. It wasn't just personal. She had dates, payment amounts, even locations. It looked like she had been meeting men for money. Not all of them, but enough to make it sickening. Some of the logs even overlapped with times she had told me she was with family or taking extra shifts at her part-time job. And then I saw something that made my blood go cold. There was a document labeled Insurance. Inside were scanned IDs, personal details. Some were mine. Some were Brian's. Others I didn't recognize. Bank info, security questions, PIN numbers. She wasn't just cheating. She was collecting people. I backed everything up to a secure server and pulled the drive. That same day, I went to the police. I told them everything. I didn't even care if it meant exposing my own stupidity. They said they'd open an investigation, but that it could take time. Apparently, unless someone reported identity theft or other direct fraud, it was hard to make charges stick just from what I found. 3 days later, I got a voicemail from Laura. She was crying. Said she didn't know how things got so out of control. She begged me to talk. Said I didn't understand what was really happening. She said Brian wasn't just some guy. He was dangerous, and she was in over her head. That same night, I noticed a car parked across the street from my apartment. A black sedan, tinted windows. It stayed there for hours. Didn't move. Next morning, I found my mailbox open. Nothing was taken, but someone had gone through it. I called Michelle again. She sounded nervous. You said she was keeping records, I told her. What if someone's trying to find out what I know? Michelle hesitated. Then she said, Jake. Laura told me once that Brian was helping her. That he had clients too. That they shared info. He wasn't just a side piece. He was part of it. My mind was spinning. If Brian was part of whatever scam or setup Laura had been running, then maybe the ER accident hadn't been an accident. Maybe he wasn't even the one panicking in that room. Maybe I had walked in on them in the middle of a cover-up gone wrong. And now that I had the drive, they knew I had something. A few nights later, someone tried to break into my apartment. I was awake, working late in the living room, when I heard the handle jiggle. Just once. No knock. No footsteps down the hall after. I looked through the peephole, no one there. But the elevator dinged about 10 seconds later. I changed the locks the next day. Installed cameras. I kept the backup copy of the drive in a fireproof safe and moved the original to a friend's house. But it didn't stop there. Brian texted me. From a new number. Let it go. You don't know what you're messing with. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to the detective working the case. He didn't sound surprised. I started thinking maybe this wasn't just a love triangle gone bad. Maybe this was something way deeper. Maybe Laura had gotten involved with someone she thought was exciting or dangerous, and it spiraled. Maybe she thought she was in control, but she wasn't. And now I was in the middle of it. But I wasn't backing down. I had evidence. I had names. And more than anything, I had nothing left to lose. I didn't sleep again the night after Brian's text. I kept checking the hallway camera every hour, my hand on the baseball, but I kept near the door now. It didn't feel like paranoia anymore. Something was off. I could feel it. And I couldn't ignore the weight of what I discovered. The next day, the detective called me. He said they were planning to bring Laura in for questioning. He didn't go into much detail, but said they had corroborating evidence now. Michelle had also submitted messages and photos from her own experience. It was enough to justify looking deeper into the client logs. A week later, I got a subpoena to appear as a witness for a case being built involving Laura and several unnamed individuals. That's when I realized this wasn't just about lies and cheating anymore. This was criminal. The court date was set for 2 weeks out. But before that could happen, everything came crashing down. It was a Saturday. I decided to go grab groceries for once instead of ordering in. I figured getting out of the apartment would help clear my head. I parked at the Trader Joe's a few blocks away from my place. As I was walking toward the entrance, I heard someone shout my name. It was her, Laura. She looked rough, dark circles under her eyes, hair a mess, clothes wrinkled. She looked nothing like the confident, polished woman I used to know. And she wasn't alone. Brian was with her. He stayed a few steps behind, arms crossed, just watching. Laura ran up to me, her voice shaking. Jake, please, just listen. 1 minute. That's all I'm asking. I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. I never meant for it to go like this, she said. Brian wasn't supposed to get involved with you. I didn't know he followed me to the hospital. That wasn't part of the plan. The plan, I said, louder than I meant to. People walking into the store started to glance our way. You lied to me for 3 years, I said, still staring at her. You let me love you while you kept records on me. You used me. And now you're worried about how the plan fell apart? Brian stepped forward, voice low and steady. You don't know what you're getting into, man. You think you're the victim? You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let it go before someone gets hurt. That set me off. In the wrong place? In my own home? With my own girlfriend? I shouted. A small crowd had gathered. A store employee came out, nervously hovering nearby. Laura tried to step between us, tears brimming in her eyes. I didn't want you to get hurt. I swear, Jake. I was trying to get out. But Brian, he cut her off. Don't bring me into your mess. You were the one who started keeping files. You were the one who wanted leverage. I just helped make sure nobody got sloppy. She turned to him, her voice breaking. You said you'd protect me. You said we'd be done after Seattle. You're the one who got attached, he snapped back. You fell for the guy. That wasn't part of the game. At that moment, I realized neither of them felt guilt. Not really. Laura was trying to crawl out of a mess she helped create, and Brian was just a shark who had swum away from worse. I'm done, I said. If either of you comes near me again, you won't be walking away with just a warning. You think you're smart, but you left a trail. And I'm not the only one who's seen it. I walked away as Laura started crying for real this time. The last thing I heard was her voice breaking as she yelled after me. I didn't mean to fall in love with you. That hit me harder than anything else. Because I believed her. And that made it worse. In the aftermath, the case moved forward. Laura was brought in for questioning, and her laptop was seized. Michelle's testimony helped paint a fuller picture of how Laura and Brian had operated, targeting vulnerable men, manipulating them, sometimes blackmailing them, sometimes worse. I never saw her again in person. But a few months later, I got a letter. No return address. Just a handwritten apology. Pages and pages of her trying to explain her childhood, her trauma, her loneliness. She said Brian had a way of finding women like her, broken ones. She said she really did love me, that I was the first real thing in her life, but she didn't know how to stop once it started. I didn't respond. I didn't even keep it. Michelle and I stayed in touch for a while. We met for coffee a couple times. Nothing romantic. Just two people who understood what it was like to be fooled by the same lie. As for me, it's taken time. I've started therapy. I go on walks. I read more. I take care of my plants. I even adopted a rescue dog. I'm still rebuilding. Not just my trust in others, but my trust in myself. Because the worst part of betrayal isn't that someone lied to you. It's that you start questioning your own judgment. You wonder if you ever really saw things clearly. But I'm learning to forgive myself. Not for being fooled, but for staying so long in the dark. I never saw Laura again. She pled out to lesser charges. Brian disappeared. Maybe he's doing the same thing to someone else. But I've moved on. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just awake now. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally living my own life, not the one someone else wrote for me.